Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, I've done something stupid. Very stupid. Incredibly stupid. In fact, I'd never recommend anyone do this under any circumstances. I bought the cheapest supercharged Range Rover in the whole of the UK. Why? I don't really know at this point. I guess it's for your entertainment, which is a bit weird, isn't it, that? Maybe I'm just a masochist. Anyway, let me explain what happened. I got a message a couple of weeks ago from a lad called Harry who runs the YouTube channel Cars and Custard, and he told me that he'd got a friend who had a supercharged Range Rover 2006 in Buckingham Blue that he no longer wanted. Apparently I must have a bit of a name for myself as being a Range Rover geek. Don't know quite how that happened, do you? And because I'm a Range Rover anorak, he asked me if I wanted to buy it. And to be honest, I don't think I ever got back to him actually. I've got too many projects on the go, to be honest, that all need finishing, and this one didn't even have a valid MOT. A couple of days passed and to be honest, I forgot all about it. Then I was scrolling through Facebook one day and one of those forums that I've joined, which I'm gonna exit to be honest because it really winds me up. It's called something like Range Rovers for Sale in the UK or Range Rovers for Sale worldwide, and it is full of losers. Everybody on that forum is an armchair expert. Nobody actually wants to buy anything that's for sale, but they all want to tell somebody how wrong they've got the price. Always. I'll see a car that's listed for sale, then I'll read through the comments, and every single one is just an insult to the seller. It really winds me up. That Facebook group, for me, represents everything that's wrong with the internet. The other day I saw a cheap early L322 for sale, and it was for about £1,000. It was cheap, it was pretty much scrap value. And one of the comments said, I might be interested in this. Could you send me a video of it running? No. Go to Range Rover and buy a new one. Why is it that people at the very bottom of the car food chain are the most entitled? The poor seller, who's probably not as jaded as I am, will have spent the next half an hour videoing it and then sending it to him, all to get either ghosted completely, no reply, or 2 days later something like, well, my wife said I can't really grow a pair, seriously. I'm going to have to change the subject, it just winds me up. Anyway, I saw this same supercharged Range Rover for sale on that forum. I assumed one of the gimps on there had snapped it up because when I checked 2 days later it had gone. So I thought, oh well, I've missed out, no big deal. Then about a week later I got a direct message from the actual owner of the car on my Instagram. And we had a chat about it and he told me that he'd serviced it recently, he'd replaced the air suspension compressor, he'd had it to Land Rover about 6 months ago and it had new brake pipes and new discs and pads. So it all sounded alright really. Yes, it needs some work, but there were a spare set of supercharged wheels with it, and it also needs some suspension work at the back. I think it's only rubber bushings and stuff like that, so I hope nothing too sinister. I agreed to buy it and he even dropped it off for me on the back of his trailer. Now I paid just £2.5 grand for this, which by any measure is cheap for a supercharged Range Rover. Now the 4.2 litre supercharged V8 from Jag is one of the more reliable Range Rover engines. I'm told it needs a bit of paint work as well because there's some rust in the usual places, so it is a bit of a project and I'm not entirely sure what to do with it. It's been left for me on my car park and I have seen it from a distance, but I purposely haven't looked around it because I didn't want to ruin the fun. So I thought today you and I could have a look around it and perhaps you could advise me what I should do with it. I was thinking I could spend £2,500 on it, so it'd owe me £5 grand, and that would still be cheap for a sorted supercharged Range Rover. Or if it's too far gone, just sell it as it is. I'm fairly sure I'd get my £2.5 grand back. Right, let's go and have a look, shall we? Right, well here she is. It looks black, but it isn't. It's Buckingham Blue. In fact, back in 2007, my boss at the time, I was working for an internet company in Puerto Banús, and my boss at the time, an English fella, bought one of these brand new in Buckingham Blue. And because I was obsessed with Range Rovers, he used to have an X5 before that. As soon as he came to work in that car that day when he picked it up, I went downstairs to have a look at it. And I said, oh wow, that's beautiful, isn't it? And he went, yeah, it gets me from A to B, doesn't it? And I vowed from that point on, if ever I become successful and get money, that I wouldn't be a bellend and say comments like that. Gets me from A to B. It was a €100,000 car. Anyway, feast your eyes on this little bad boy. There is quite a lot of work to do there, isn't there? This is why I need your advice. I don't know whether to... I've got butterflies a bit because I'm quite excited about the project. But do I spend a fortune on this car or not? I think it's a little bit too far gone, to be honest. Because straight away I'm noticing the headlamps would buff up. There are a couple of scuffs on the bumper, they would probably buff back. From the looks of it, somebody's drilled into the front grille there and the wings to fit, I guess, those headlamp grills. Why would you drill into the wing of your Range Rover? Also, those side steps have got to come off, and they're the wrong wheels. They're off a later car, I think. I think they're off a facelift L322. I think. Should know these things, shouldn't I, being a Range Rover geek? Little bit of a dent on the front wheel arch. Some rust on the rear wheel arches, little dent on the bonnet there. Right, anyway, enough of this. Let me do a vehicle history check using Car Vertical. So as always, I'm going to go to carvertical.com. Might as well knock this engine off, hadn't I? And type in the vehicle reg. Now, it has had a private plate, this car, so as you can see, there are no reg plates on it. I know the real reg is RE06 Wolf WLF, so it's a Reading car. It might not work off this reg. It might still show it on the private plate, in which case I'll have to type in the VIN number. Ah, showing it. Rio Wolf, check vehicle. Right, this is currently checking millions of cars across dozens of countries. It'll tell us if it's ever been stolen, written off, had its mileage rolled back, has outstanding finance on it, all that sort of stuff. But crucially, it'll show us all the previous MOT history. Now, I know this currently doesn't have an MOT, but I'd like to see what the advisory items are. I was told that it was suspension-related stuff, so we'll see. If you want to do one of these checks for yourself, and I urge you to do so before you hand over any cash, click the link below in the video description and use the promo code HIGHPEAK and you'll get 10% off every vehicle check that you do. In the grand scheme of things, it isn't expensive and it just stops you getting your fingers burnt. Although right now mine are feeling pretty warm. I've just realised that's a Vogue SE spec. So it's a supercharged which relates to the engine, but it's a Vogue SE, which at the time don't think you'd get an autobiography on that year, so I think that was the best spec. I know that because I can see it's got the two-tone leather interior, which I think was only available on the Vogue SE. Geek, absolute geek I am. Right, view report, that's all ready. So the mileage hasn't been tampered with, it's never been stolen, never been involved in any accidents, and there's no outstanding finance. That check has just paid for itself. It was manufactured in January 06. It wasn't registered until May 06. It had its first MOT in 09. Right, there are quite a few advisory items here over the years. Sad to see. Let's go down to the most recent one. Oh boy. Right, its most recent MOT was in January 22. So, what's that? 15 months ago? And it passed, but the advisory items were offside front inner suspension arm pin or bush worn, near side rear inner suspension arm pin or bush worn, offside rear subframe pin or bush worn. This will be quite a sloppy car to drive, won't it, this? Near side front inner suspension arm pin or bush worn, offside front tyre worn, inner front suspension arm pin or bush worn, offside rear suspension arm pin or bush worn, near side, getting bored with this already, near side rear subframe pin or bush worn, near side front suspension arm pin. Alright, leave it alone. Underbody corrosion and near side front tyre worn close to legal limit. Now, I was told this needs a couple of tyres as well. I think what we need to do is formulate some sort of shopping list, don't we? Now, the mileage is 160 something, so it is quite high. Having said that, it's probably average for the year, isn't it? It's a 16-year-old car, 10,000 miles a year, bang on average, really. And it's been fairly steady every year, so that's all fine. It's provided a market valuation as well, so the value, according to Car Vertical, is around £5,200, which is exactly what I thought. So it's a 2006 4.2 supercharged V8 petrol. Right, I think we need to go and have a look around this, don't we? And use our own eyes. Are you excited? I'm strangely excited. Just thought if it were 2006, I would have a very enviable driveway, wouldn't I, with this 05ML and my 06 Range Rover. Oh dear, look at that rust. Okay then, let me walk you around this. You're going to have to use your imagination here, guys. Now, straight away I'm thinking it desperately needs those window tints removing. It's even got them on the front, which I just hate. This is what happens when a Range Rover falls into the wrong hands. We've got decent brake discs, and on this side we've got a Nexon, which is a good brand. That looks fairly new, that's on about 7mm of tread. We've got a load of corrosion here, but that doesn't look too deep, to be fair. It's mainly sort of on the surface, that could be fixed. It's had those light grille things there. All these little marks would buff back. Having said that, it's going to be painted anyway. Quite a bit of corrosion there around the wheel arch, as they always seem to do. I can paint the door handles, but yeah, they're the wrong wheels, aren't they? In fact, those wheels don't even match. How did I not spot that sooner? I need to take off the side steps. There's a crack there in the wing mirror. I mean, I can get away with some of these bits, can't I? But yeah, they've drilled into the front wings there for those lamp guards. So I think I'd be inclined to just order 2 new wings, or 2, you know, second-hand replacement wings in Buckingham Blue if possible, and a new grille. That solves that little problem. Brake disc look new there, Brembo brakes, and that is the baldest thing I've ever seen. It's a Pirelli Scorpion, but it's bald. The headlamps would buff back. We've got a dent there. Yeah, I think I may as well just look for some new wings, hadn't I? On this side we've got quite a flat looking Pirelli Scorpion to match, and it's equally bald. That wants replacing. Remove the side steps. The only drama is when you remove these side steps, then you have holes here where the mud flaps were. That'll have to be filled and painted. On this side we should have a matching Nexon. Oh no, we don't, because that's a different wheel again, isn't it? So we've got 3 wheels like that. Lots of little marks here that would buff out. Bit of lack of peel, more corrosion. Crack there in the tail light. Oh, look at those exhausts. I had a feeling this would be the case. The previous owner said that it sounds really good, and that made me think, hang on a minute. That's got some Larry exhaust system. It is also LPG converted, which I don't like personally. Just think if you can't afford to run a petrol Range Rover, then don't buy one. Here it's missing its reflector. It should have a red reflector like that side. That's not expensive, I can soon sort that. And we've got some tailgate rust there. They always seem to go. Again, I could just find a replacement tailgate in Buckingham Blue. I bet that's not too dear, you know. I need to be clever with this, because if I'm not careful, I could spend a fortune. Oh, wow. Need a new check strap because that one's broke. Unless I can tighten that up. Sounds like a Citroen, doesn't it? Well, hang on a minute. The previous owner was a Dwarf. Got some wear there on the seats. There's no rips though, it would all clean up, wouldn't it? That steering wheel's disgusting. Believe it or not, that should be cream on the top. I actually did this once before in a, let me go in. I actually did this once before on I think a Discovery 2. I got some leather paint off the internet, masked it up and then painted it and it looked like new. So I could do that, or I could just buy a new steering wheel for it off eBay. We've got lots of paperwork here for it. Down there is my little LPG gauge. So, service history. I guarantee, because this was a very expensive car when it was new, it'll start off quite good. There we go, Vogue SE Supercharged. This was some car in its day, probably 100 grand's worth. So the PDI was done at 5 miles at Lancaster Land Rover in Reading. Nice fountain pen there. Like a fountain pen. The first one then was done by Lancaster at 18,000 miles, then another one at 32 by the same garage, then another one at 47, same garage, and then 70, same garage, and that's where it all ends. This is just typical Range Rover, this. So the first owner was a millionaire, obviously, looked after it until 2012 at 70. He probably then got rid of it in 2013-ish, and then sold it to somebody who wanted to run around in a Range Rover but couldn't really afford to run a Range Rover. So they didn't bother servicing it then probably until an engine light came on, which is why they've serviced it and changed the spark plugs. That would be my guess. And I bet that's not too far from the truth. Then another one done at 150. Now the chap that sold it to me said that he did a service on it about 7,000 miles ago, so I'll do another one anyway. But this is why they go wrong. They just fall into the wrong hands. Had the original owner kept it and just kept looking after it, then it would not look like this now. It just wouldn't. So service book, we've got some sunglasses here that are as broken as this car. All the old handbooks. I'll turn this away just in case I catch somebody's name. Now we've got an invoice here for the window tints. Supply and fit Pentagon smoke tint. And it was still on its original reg plate then. I think they'll be coming off because I don't like them. Don't want some sort of MTV Cribs pimpmobile, do we? We want originality. We've got all the previous MOTs there, so that's all quite good. We've got a bill of sale here. Right. So in 2012, it was sold, I can't tell you the name, but it's come from quite a nice part of London in 2012. Then it was sold for £15,000 to somebody up north, who probably put the silly exhaust on it and LPG converted it and put the silly tints on it and all that sort of carry on. Well, there is plenty of history there, to be fair. Plenty more receipts anyway. Up here we've got a sunglass holder that doesn't work, which is why the sunglasses are there. Nice sunroof. I daren't try that in case it jams open. This would actually all clean up quite nicely. Let's have a look around it. I was told this door card's loose. I was told there's a spare in the back because there's an airbag light on, and it's something to do with the airbag that's built into this door card. So there is a replacement part for that. There it is, voila, one I made earlier. There's the parcel shelf. Now we've got rear media as well. This was some car in its day, and I keep saying that phrase, but we've got a new master switch there for the door, some spark plugs, brake pads, a remote, some more receipts here. Right, this is the receipt from Land Rover then for the brake discs. Listers, Droitwich. Well, there's extra history there from my little folder. Some Euro car parts, bits and pieces there. Also found a jerry can full of treasures. Moving around the back, we've got right, okay then, we've got the lamp guards, which go like so, which I don't like, so I think they're getting binned. And the front one, predictably, which is why somebody's taken it off, is broken. You know what, I could save myself some money by... no, I'm cutting corners. I was going to say I could save myself some money if I just bought some new lamp guards and then I could keep the wings and the grille. But I'm just cutting corners there. Somebody's had this to bits, haven't they? Right, well that's the other wheel that matches the set that's on it. They're the originals then, I think, aren't they, which need refurbishing, and they desperately need tyres. Look at the state of those. Well, that one looks pretty decent. Right, I think we've seen enough there. Just noticed some lack appeal there on the door. You could go mad with this, and I don't intend to. I just want to get it looking nice-ish. No point doing a bare metal respray on a 160,000 mile Range Rover, is there? Okay. Cover up all that paperwork before I get fined. Should we fire up? See what this monstrosity sounds like. Ugh. Ugh. Okay. Low screen wash. 0.1 miles per gallon. Pretty good, isn't it? Oh yeah. Oh no. Listen to that. This, if you know anything about me, this is not my cup of tea at all. I like originality. Not this. You ready? No thank you. I need to find then somewhere either an exhaust specialist or an original exhaust on eBay. HDC fault, system not available. To be fair, this could be a dodgy battery. You did tell me that it needed a new battery, so I'm surprised it started. There's my airbag light that I was telling you about. Well, it's ticking over quite nicely, in fairness. Down here we've got a cigarette lighter that's never been used. That's always a good sign. It's never been smoked in. Under here we've got, Chinese made. Oh, look at this. See, it's not all bad, is it? We've got some chocolate digestives here and a spanner. For a minute then, you'd all thought I'd bought a lemon, didn't you? We've got a nodding head Rodney from Only Fools and Horses. I feel like a plonker right now, to be fair, for buying this. There is quite a big to-do list with this car, isn't there? I've just noticed as well, I don't know if it's my eyes or not. Oh, hang on a minute. That's why there's a new window switch in the back, because only the driver's side works. The longer I do this job, the more I realise people's descriptions are vastly different. This was described to me as being, and I quote, quite nice. There's nothing quite nice about it. It had been quite nice 10 years ago, but not now. I think what I should do then is formulate some sort of shopping list, don't you? In fact, let me see if this drives. I'm not going to go far before you call the police because there's no MOT on it, I know that. I'm just going to take you around this car park very slowly because we've got low air in that tyre. Just want to make sure that it does actually drive, which it does. This steering wheel's horrendous. What have I done? I'm not painting the steering wheel, I'm just going to buy a new one because it's disgusting. I'm not parking it in Bay 13, I've had enough bad luck, thank you. It's not good that you've got a car that makes you jump, is it? Driving along, minding your own business, then shut up. Well, my sensors work, but my camera doesn't. Okay. Should we try the suspension for a laugh? You ready? Range Rover refinement. I said Range Rover refinement. I've had quite a few of these and I don't think that that's normal. You know what? I've given up with that, I've had enough. Check side light. Okay. It's hissing like somebody's thrown a dart at a balloon. Okay, so on my little shopping list, we need 2 front wings in Buckingham blue. The headlamps are fine, they just need a buff. I need to buy a new steering wheel. That shouldn't be too difficult. Give us. I can hear myself think again. I should look for a new tailgate actually, because if I can find a tailgate with a working reverse camera, that solves 2 or 3 problems in one. I need to get the wheels down to Prestige and get them stripped, dipped, powder coated, order 4 tyres for them, then get it trailered to my mechanics so they can get it to pass an MOT, sort the suspension work out, give it a service, change the spark plugs, I may as well, they're in the back, fit the new master switch, fit the new door card and get the airbag light out. Then we would have a fresh service, MOT, 4 new tyres. It would then be in driving condition. Then it's bodywork. Oh, I can add to my shopping list a new rear light, can't I? Supercharged rear light. There's quite a bit to do then, isn't there? I know I said as we were driving down here that I wanted your advice because I didn't know where to go with it. I didn't know whether to just sell it as it is or fix it. And truth be told, I still don't know. I know what I should do. I know what I should do. I should walk up, I should run away from it quickly. But I do quite like them. So I think I'm just going to get on with it. I think that's what I'll do. Right, well, give me a few months because this one's going to take me a considerable amount of time, effort and money. So, yeah, cheers guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.